How much of the Indonesian economy is domestic demand driven and how much depends on exports?
Domestic demand accounts for about 60 to 70% of our growth as sources of growth. Exports is about between 20 to 25%. So, it is pretty much driven by the domestic market. And we also believe that Indonesia is one of the world's best kept secret because you can see all the richness in resources and culture, as well as the resilience we've had in going through pretty serious sets of issues even in the last 4 years of this administration, as well as going through a very major crisis 10 years ago.
To what extent is Indonesia benefiting during this crisis from what I would call East-East trade, meaning while America and Britain and Western Europe are suffering, Middle East, Asia, intra-ASEAN, how important is that to you?
I think it's very important because Asia, in this crisis, downturn I should say, is weathering it better than other regions. So the fact that we are already fairly integrated within ASEAN as well as East Asia will help us to buffer the slowdown in the other regions. And that's why we in Asia, we are pursuing very much the ASEAN cooperation and then the East Asian cooperation hopefully in a much more intensive way.
We hear a lot about ASEAN cooperation. At the recent summit in Thailand, there was talk of creating a bloc by 2015. What do you think is really going to happen?
Well, we don't call it a bloc. It's open regionalism in the sense that we would like to integrate within ourselves, but for us to become a dynamic and competitive production base, not just for ASEAN, but for the rest of the world. And we are pretty much on track. I mean, the meeting we had in February in Hua Hin, we had our blueprint and everything in place, and it's pretty much on track. So despite what happened for the delay of the meeting in April, in terms of ASEAN cooperation, it is very much on track, and we have the commitment to not just be on track, but to make sure that it's implemented.
How important are China and India for Indonesia's exports and for its trade?
China is, at the moment for Indonesia, more important than India, but India is, I believe, will become increasingly important because of, again, the large domestic market and the types of goods that we trade with them, such as commodities that they need for cooking oil, such as CPO, coal for their power plants. And hopefully it will also go into the more manufactured products. And once we have ASEAN plus China, ASEAN plus India, things like automotive production, textiles, and so on, they become more regionally integrated.
There have been some sort of political, social sensitivities in Indonesia in the past about the wealth and the importance of Chinese ethnic Indonesians. You yourself have some Chinese blood, I believe?
Yes.
Is that a thing of the past? Or is money coming back into Indonesia because there are better relations now?
In terms of the policies domestically against discrimination towards ethnic minorities, not just Chinese, but any minorities, it's been a very important progress, including the most recent law passed in 2006, which actually removes all discrimination in terms of citizenship. So, and in practice, as you say, I'm of Chinese origin and I'm in the government, and we have governors, we have district heads, we have politicians now of ethnic Chinese origin. So I believe that it is a non-issue.
Let me ask you about the role of women in Indonesia. There are women ministers, women in society that in some ways are more prominent in leadership roles in this country than in some countries in Europe. At what stage are we at in Indonesia in terms of the emancipation and the prominence of women in politics and business? Well,
I would say that in the last 10 years there have been very important breakthroughs, including having a woman president. I think that was a major breakthrough in a predominantly Muslim country with traditional Asian values, and then subsequent breakthroughs, including under the current cabinet. We have 4 women ministers, and they are not just ministers for women affairs, but we also have a Minister of Health, Minister of Finance, also Senior Minister for Coordination of the Economy. So I think it's a very important beginning, but I would say that the issue of equality, emancipation, equal opportunity is still there, as it is in many other countries. And for us, I think what will be the most important is to make sure that women are given equal access for education, because that's kind of the first thing that will determine your entry point, and then equal access to business and as well as finance and so on. So that's not totally solved yet, and this will be the importance for us to continue to make progress in that area.